Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really special combination of gear, one that's perfect for photographers who are chasing a certain feeling in their images. We're talking about prioritizing mood, texture, and soul way over technical perfection. And that quote, that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. It's not about finding what's technically the best. It's about finding tools that help you create images with a distinct vibe, something with an organic, almost analog soul. So this whole approach, it frames photography less like a science experiment and more like a craft, an art. It's all about picking your tools for the unique character they bring to the table, not just because they look good on a spec sheet. It really comes down to two different mindsets, right? On one side, you have the race for clinical perfection. The sharpest lenses, the fastest autofocus, optically flawless everything. But on the other side, you're chasing artistic character. You care about the mood, the actual experience of shooting. And yeah, even some charming flaws. Today, we are firmly in that second camp. Okay, let's talk about the constant in our equation, the Viltrox 56mm f1.2 Pro lens. Now, if you think of the camera body as a beautiful leather-bound notebook, then this lens, this is like your favorite well-worn fountain pen. It might not be the fanciest, but it has a flow that makes everything you create feel uniquely yours. So even though this is a modern lens, it has these specific traits that make it absolutely perfect for that retro feel. For starters, you get this incredible sharpness right in the center, right where your subject is. But everything around them just melts away into this dreamy, smooth background blur. Plus, the all-metal body and that super satisfying clicky aperture ring, it just feels right in your hands.
And this is where things get really interesting. We have to redefine what a flaw is. See, in that world of clinical perfection, something like vignetting, that slight darkening in the corners, is a problem you need to fix in software. But here, we call it a charming flaw. It becomes a feature. It naturally pulls your eye to the subject and adds this moody, organic, totally film-like quality. Of course, that fountain pen's character is going to look different depending on the paper you use. So we're pairing this one lens with three different canvases, the three generations of the Fujifilm X-Pro. Each one is like its own unique notebook, ready to capture a totally different kind of story. First up, we've got to talk about the original, the legend, the X-Pro one. When you pair the Viltrox with this camera, the combination becomes just so romantic and painterly. With the X-Pro one, something kind of magical happens. The lens's modern sharpness gets softened just a little bit by that classic first-gen X-Trans sensor. The highlights bloom in this really gentle way, and the colors come out feeling a little muted, a little nostalgic. All those little imperfections just stack up perfectly, creating images that feel like a roll of film you found from the 1970s. And yeah, the slower autofocus, it forces you to slow down, which is honestly part of the charm. This quote just nails it. You're not chasing microscopic sharpness with this setup. You're chasing a mood, an atmosphere, a soul that feels authentic and raw, something that a lot of modern cameras have just polished away. All right, next up is the X-Pro 2, and this is where that Viltrox lens finds this amazing sweet spot, a perfect balance between that classic character and a more modern, crisp clarity. The sharper sensor in the X-Pro 2 lets more of the lens's incredible center detail shine through, but it holds on to so much of that character. And oh man, when you use the classic chrome film simulation, the whole combination just screams cinematic. It's like you're pulling stills from a cool indie film, with these beautiful subdued colors and an atmosphere you can almost feel. And that brings us to the X-Pro 3. Now, this pairing, this is maybe the most philosophically aligned with our theme today, because the camera itself is designed for a more deliberate, focused way of shooting. See, that unique hidden screen totally changes how you shoot. It forces you to trust your eye, to stay in the viewfinder. So pairing that experience with a character lens like the Viltrox wide open at f1.2, it becomes a real act of commitment. You're not checking the back of your camera after every shot. You're staying in the moment, trusting your vision. And when you combine that process with a film simulation like classic neg, you get this gritty, nostalgic look that feels straight out of a 90s art house movie. So here's a quick and dirty summary. The X-Pro 1, that's your most vintage atmospheric feel. The X-Pro 2 strikes that perfect balance. It's a real workhorse. And the X-Pro 3 gives you the crispest results, but with a shooting process and film simulations that are all about intentional character. Okay, so how do all these different pieces come together to create that retro quality we keep talking about? Well, it's kind of a three-step process. It's not just one thing, you see. It's a stack. First, you start with the lens's own optical DNA. Then the camera's sensor adds its own unique flavor, its own recipe for color and grain. And then the final layer, the magic touch, is Fujifilm's incredible film simulations. It's the way these three layers interact with each other that makes the final result so special and so convincing. And really, this is the whole point. The entire process, from the moment light hits the glass to the final image file, it embraces imperfection. The Viltrox isn't trying to be optically perfect. And when you combine that character with the camera's beautiful processing, you don't just get a document of a moment, you get an impression of it. So, at the end of the day, it all comes down to a choice, a deliberate choice. Choosing a combination like this isn't about getting the highest technical score on a chart, it's about choosing a certain kind of photographic experience. This setup is for the photographer who wants to make pictures that feel a little bit slower, a little more thoughtful, and honestly, often a whole lot more rewarding. It's for someone who wants their images to have a real mood, a tangible atmosphere, a sense of place you can almost feel.
So we'll just leave you with this question to think about for your own photography. When you pick up your camera, what are you really chasing? Is it that razor-sharp technical perfection, or is it a feeling, a tangible mood? Thanks for watching The Explainer.